What's up, guys? Thank you so much for staying around, and I will try to make this shorter. Yeah. I said that we'll continue by talking about attributes. Attributes are just like the English name is just the characteristics of an object, right? That you can easily see. Maybe in case of HTML web designing and this course. So at the characteristics of a particular element, of a particular tag in HTML, and either it is the paired tag or the unpaired tag. So unpaired tag, and you can see here we have an example of a paired tag. You know that the paired tag will only just have the less than, the name of the tag, and the forward slash and the greater than sign. But now we have these red parts in it. Then we can see attribute 1, attribute 2, and for the paired tag, we also see the attribute 1 and attribute 2 in front. But this is not usually the way all used to look like. So for instance, let's go back into our code. Or before we go into our code, I have a page that I opened. I searched for different type of cups, just like the way we were I was saying in the last video. So these are 3 cups, right? You can say, okay, this is an element, is called a cup. This is also an element called a cup. And this is also another element, which is a cup too, right? But if you look at these 3 cups, what is the difference between this 1 and 2, or in this case, you can easily tell me that the difference is color. They have the same size, they have the same height, they have the same, we can't say what is inside each of them. But let's assume that, well, if that nothing inside them. But you can easily say cup 1, this first cup has a color of red, of green. And the second one has a color of yellow or orange. This is orange. Okay, sorry, I'm not so good at color like that. And the third one has the color of red. And we can easily bring these into our code, and we can map it out how they usually look like. Let's say, going back to our code, this is where we stopped the last time, the CDN code. So let's say we have our cabinet again, or let's say we have kitchen. We have our kitchen, and inside our kitchen we have cabinets. The cabinets. So, and inside the cabinet we have 3 cups. So I'll just say cup, and let's say that is the first cup, and we'll have another cup. These cups are not inside each other. They are, let's just say, they are all in one cup. So this is inside our cabinet. So this white square is our cabinet, and inside our cabinet we have 3 cups there. So that is what we're trying to bring out in our code. So the first cup, and that's the third cup. Then we'll say cup, and we'll put it here. And the attributes, it's not that we have to put them inside like this, as if we now say there's another color. Color is not an element, it's an attribute. So we don't have to say that. So what we can easily do, so on the first part of a tag, which is the opening tag, that is where you had your attributes. And I can easily say on this cup, the color for this first cup is what? So this, you say the name of the attribute, and the value of the attribute will most times be a string, will be in form of a string, a text or number or anything, but has to be inside those codes, right? Inside the codes. So we can say the first one is green from our picture. The second one, we can say color equal orange, and the third cup is the color equals red. Right. Let's say inside our cabinet there is a spoon. Then we know that a spoon cannot take any other thing inside itself. It's just that spoon. Then let's write it as an unpaired tag and say spoon. Yeah. So let's say we want to give our spoon a color as well. It's just the way. But now in this case, there is no opening tag or the closing tag. It is just one tag because this is an unpaired tag. Then in that one tag itself as it is, then we can say color equals silver. Yeah, so silver, and you will look at it like, why am I using color, not using an England British English, right? In the HTML and majorly in programming, you use American English, right? Apart from my friend Anoluwapo Karonwi, he created a simple language called Yolang that you can use Yoruba to write a code. Right? It's just some experimental language like that, and you can just check it online. Yolang, yeah. So it's just to be able to do some simple programming using Yoruba words, right? Like that. So I won't open any guy. You can just Google that and check him out. Right. Okay. So talking about attributes, right? So this is how it's usual. So let's say the first one, or let's go back to I actually try to Google pictures, different pictures, cups. Okay. So if we look at these cups, this one, they are all red. They all have the same color, red, but their height are not the same. So in our code, let's say we have another set of cups in our cabinet. Let's say you have two different cabinets in your kitchen, right? So in our kitchen, this is the cabinet. Let's say we can even add an attribute called name for this cabinet. We can call it cabinet 1. That is also an attribute for the cabinet. And then here we can have another cabinet, or we can just copy this, or don't let me copy, let me just type everything out so we are learning. So we say another cabinet, right? And we can say the name of the cabinet equals cabinet 2, right? You can say that all attributes are only going to be appended to the opening tag of a paired tag, or that tag itself if it's an unpaired tag. So we have open cabinets, and this cabinet 2, we have 3 cups again. Let's say we have cup. Just to let us move faster, so I will use some of the trick in Visual Studio Code to create these 3 cups faster. So we have 3 cups. Then all these cups, they have color of red, right? Just like the second picture that we saw, we said color equals red too. And lastly, color is red too, right? And as we can see from our picture, they are all red color, right? But let's say this height is 10, this is 15, and this is 20. So the first cup, this is the first cup in our code. So the first cup, we can say the height of the first cup is 15. Let's just say 15. And let's say 10. And the height of the second cup equals 15. And the height of the third cup equals 20. Right. Don't forget that we've not started writing a valid HTML code HTML tags. We are just using tags. We're using elements that we can see around ourselves we're using them as a valid HTML tag. There's no tag in HTML called teaching, but we are learning from the beginning. So let's put that HTML tags, everything, let's put them aside and let's see how they actually work. So with these, you can understand that, okay, by the time you're seeing a div and you're seeing another div inside it, you will not be like, okay, why do we have to put that div inside another div? Because we don't understand. But using all these terminologies, this trick rather, all these examples can easily let us understand well when we start using the real HTML tags the way we're supposed to use them. So I hope we understand the tag. So with the tag, you can have many tags and many attributes on a tag, and you can have tags on both the pair tag and the unpaired tag. You can see, and but in HTML generally, there are 4 major type of tags that almost all elements in HTML can have, not must have, can have. Almost all elements, all tags in HTML can have. So let's go back to our document and to see that. Unfortunately, I didn't have the fourth one. The first one is ID, and the second one is class, and the third one is style. The fourth one, I've used it in our code here, is called name. You can actually give a name. This is a valid attribute in HTML. You can actually give a name to any object. You can just say name is this, name is this, name is that, right? But ID and class, the style is to add different style. So directly in HTML, it is on the whole type of HTML code that you can have color directly on a particular tag, right? But in HTML5, it is advised not to do that, right? And you can easily use a style. You can say a style, and you can also say the color in style should be red. And you can say the height in style should be 25. The height or maybe the width in style should be 49, something. We'll get to that and I will show you. So the ID and class, let's look at it in form of a school, right? In a university, the way to identify a particular student is by the matriculation number, right? And see this ID as the matric number of any object, of a specific object. And you can go like escape it. You can give just like in a school. In a school, even if you go back to a school like that you've graduated 20 years ago, and you just give them your matric number, they will never tell you that, oh, so sorry, we've issued this matric number to another student 10 years ago. So we've cancelled all the matric number that has happened like 20 years ago, so you can't come back again. And if you look at the way they generate some of all those numbers, it is usually the number of year, the year that you were admitted. Let's say you were admitted in 1994. So usually you will see one form of 1994 in that matric number, the department that you belong to, and your serial number as a student or something like that, or your department code or your department number. So those are what are used to form a matric number. So in an history of a school, there will be no students that will have another matric number of another student. So it is a unique identifier in a school. So, and even for years to come, I would still want to believe that the standard will still be, the structure will still be of that kind of standard, that no two students or more will have same matric number. So the same thing with ID in HTML, where you where you give a specific identifier to a particular element. Even though you have set of corps, in one cabinet. It is advised that when you give ID as an attribute to a corp and you say this is C0001, this C001 should not be given to another element. Should not be given to another element in your HTML file again. In this file, this C0001 should not be given to. So you rather give the second one ID and say C0002. Okay, let's just use 10 and 10. Okay, C002. And you say this third one, ID equals to C003. And even though this is not a corp, you can actually give it, so let's say this is a boundary. This cabinet is a boundary. Then you can just say ID for this spoon too is also C0004. Right, and it's not that you will come to this other cabinet and now name this one C ID and say C001 again. It is not a good practice. Make sure that whatever that you are giving as an ID to a particular element is unique to that element alone in HTML. But what of class? So in a school, let's use a university as an example again. In a school, one or more students can belong to a class. The same thing in HTML. One or more elements can belong to a particular class. Right? One or more elements can belong to a class. So we can say, even though this in this cabinet 1, these two corps, corp1 and C1 and C01 and C02, even though they are in this cabinet color, and this, let's give these ones their ID. Let's say ID equals, let's say instead of C on this, let's do B01. So let's give this one to B02, and let's give this ID B03. Even though they belong to this, all the guys in C, they belong to this cabinet 1, and all the guys in this B blah blah are all in cabinet 2. But we can say these two guys up here belongs to the same class. We can say what class? Let's say class. Let's give it class. Let's say headers. Let's say all these ones are header corps. So the ones, those corps that they used to serve header T. So they belong to header corps. This first one and the third one, and we say class. And we say header corps. So when you have adults in the house visiting, you use all those header corps to serve them. So either you pick C1, C01 or C03, you can use them to serve header, right? And let's say one of the B2, the B series ones are also, let's say this class equals header, right? And you can say the other ones, so this ones belongs to a class of anybody, class of anybody, and this class of anybody. Right, I'm just using all these names to let us understand how things are structured in HTML. All that we have here, apart from the IDs, attributes, and apart from the attributes, all the elements, all the tags that we have here are not valid HTML tags, right? So And this is how the tags works. And the style, usually the style is used to add more uh, uh, beauty to any element. Let me just put it that way. So for instance, let's say you can say this cup, this cabinet, you want to decorate this cabinet more. You can say style. Inside that, you can say the frame color of that cabinet, let's say the border of the cabinet, how the border color, you can say the border color. So the cabinet color, you can say the cabinet color is green. You can see the green color comes up now. So you can say, and the height of that cabinet, is, let's say the height of that cabinet should be 200 pixel. So pixel, and don't worry about all those things, though it's just the way we mention, uh, width or height of anything using the all those colors that make up your monitor screen. If you look so deep to your monitor screen, all these colors that you see, all these things that we see here, they are actually uh, dots of colors. So the ones that make up this, if you look at this, okay, let me see if I can zoom this out. Oh, it's not really visible like that. Okay, let me see if I can show us from somewhere. Okay, let me show us this. So this is the application I use to make the document. But let's zoom into one of these elements. Yeah, got it. You can see all these white colors. And because this is a text, it's just trying to find a way to regenerate itself to look more beautiful. So let's go and look at let's look at some of those images that were copied down here. Okay, let's look at this Chrome logo. Voila. Aha. So you can see all those small squares that make up, because when you zoom closer to it, because this picture is already rendered, it can regenerate itself again like those texts, right? So we can actually see the original form of this picture when we zoom close to it. You can see all those dots. So each of these dots on our screen is called a pixel. So you can now say this cabinet, the width of this cabinet is going to be of 400 dots on the screen, 400 screen dots. So that will determine the width of that cabinet, how the width of that cabinet, or maybe the thickness of its border, like of the frame around it. So for instance, let's zoom out. Right, so that is a pixel, but don't bother too much about that, right? So let's just get back to our code. So you can say the border of that cabinet is that the height of the cabinet when we display it in the browser should be 300 pixels. So it will find a way to get to count all those dots, and it will not be bigger than that 300 dots. Right, so that is what style will allow us. And we've also seen the fourth one in action. We can say the name of this cabinet is cabinet 1. So that is style. That is CSS. Sorry, not CSS. Those are attributes in HTML. These are attributes in HTML. And now you can see the way it is structured. We have the tag, the attribute name. You have the equal sign in between the attribute name and the value of that attribute, and you can see that. So and I said, excuse me, we have many tags. For instance, there are tags that are specific to a particular type of elements, a particular tag. So all those ones, for instance, when you want to load an image, when you use the ing image tag, you have to specify an attribute of where to load the image from. the size of the image, and the height and the width of it, how it's supposed to be, right? And even if you want to add more border to that image after it has been rendered, you can also use attributes to bring all those things in, right? And other attributes in a form, when you want to submit a form, you want to specify the type of form. Do you want to post it, or you want to use it to get something via the URL? So that is the method, and the method in a form. And the action in the form is, where are you submitting this form to? Are you submitting it to another web page where they will pick it up, or you want to send it to a server where the server will deal with all those elements? So that is attributes in HTML, and I hope we understand this. Yeah, I promise that it will not be long, so maybe just bear with me. I'm just trying to explain much of all these things in a very lowest level that I can try, and so for you to get it more clearer. And so in the next class, we will actually be diving down into HTML code itself. So how all the original tags that we use to build HTML. We'll talk about the main layout of HTML code, and how we can convert these circles that you've been seeing around the scenes, how we can use them to actually create a structure for any web page, right? For any web page. And we will also talk about different type of tags, real HTML tags now, and how we can make use of them correctly, right? Don't worry. And then we'll later talk about CSS, but CSS will not be in the next video. We will only just deal with that in later video after the next one. So thank you so much for your time. I hope to see you in the next video. Please try to bear with me. I'm trying to make it more explanatory as much as possible. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Cheers.